I'm delighted to say I'm joined by the host of Edgar TV, Matthew Edgar. Thanks again for joining us, Matthew. How are you doing?
Couldn't be better. Absolutely brilliant, yeah.
Good to hear. Well, we'll come on to talk about the World Championship draw a little bit later, but let's look back to the start of this week, the PDPA Qualifier for the World Championship on Monday. Heading into it, we found out over the weekend the split between the UK and the rest of the world. There was going to be 6 spots in total as well. How are you feeling going into that on Monday?
Confident, to say the least. I knew I was going in as a seed. I didn't know who the seed was going to be on the other end of the draw. I found out the night before it was going to be Josh Payne, and I think I went there just with the attitude that I'm going to be playing Josh Payne today to get through. And the confidence that I went in there with was instantly brought out on the practice board. I had a practice with Aaron Beanie beforehand, and I was just finishing everything. I was playing these finishing games, and I was just finishing everything. And it got to the point where I could almost have thrown him underarm. And I said to Aaron, I says, I'm getting to this psychological state that's above confidence. So we've got a confidence, but then we go into an element I like to call knowing, where we know something's going to happen. And I said to Aaron, I said, I'm in this knowing state, and I don't think I missed a shot at finishes, especially like those low combination ones, the 68, 72s, 82s. I was taking those out for fun, and in that environment, the standard of player that we was dealing with, they are the game winners. When you're looking at a professional standard, they're the things that win the matches, and I was taking them all day from start to finish.
And some fond memories, I'm sure, of last year coming through that qualifier, and you get past Gary Blades and Martin Atkins to reach that last round against Josh Payne. You run off 6 legs from 1-0 down to go 6-1 up, 1 leg away. How do you try and keep yourself focused, being so close to getting over the line?
There's 2 things that went on. One was 2014. 2014 for me was a year I could have walked away from darts. I lost in the final of the Grand Slam qualifier, and then 2 weeks later I lost in the final of the World Championship qualifier. Going into that game with Josh Payne, I did have flashbacks thinking, not again, because 2014, I've matched that this year. I lost to Simon Whitlock in the final of the Grand Slam qualifier, and it was almost like a focus thing from the start. Like you say, I 6-1 up, and at that point I didn't even think it was won then. I knew I had to win another leg, because it's not like other sports. Football, we're ahead, right, we'll just go stand in the corner. You don't get that luxury with darts. You've got to keep attacking and keep pushing forward, and I never thought it was won until the winning dart went in, and then it all hit me all at once what had just happened, because I played really well that day. I didn't feel nervous. I felt confident. You said about like the year before qualifying through the qualifier, but I'd say the year before I was nervous, I was edgy, and I certainly didn't play as well last year as I did this year. And this year I went there almost knowing I was going to win it. The year before I went there hoping I was going to win it. So there was certainly a strong element of confidence on that day, and I think that comes across, like saying, those key moments. I was put under pressure at many times. Martin Atkins at a key moment hit a 180 to leave double 10, and I took out a 70 finish, which might not sound that big of a deal, but it's one dart in hand or you're losing that leg. The same game I took out a 127 finish, and I just kept doing those shots all day because I was very, very confident. And I'm confident going forward. I'm literally took a bit of time from the practice to do this right now, and I'm pounding this practice board, and I'm going to be dangerous, I think.
Yeah, some good performances on Monday, and you were one of several players, it's got to be said, going into that qualifier with your tour card essentially on the line. What were the emotions like when that winning double does go in, and not only you've qualified for Ali Pali, but also your tour card now looking safe?
Yeah, that's a bonus of it, really, and the thing is, like, last year I don't think it looked as safe as it does this year. So, you play other events with baggage. You play either a Pro Tour or a series or an event with baggage. I'm going to the World Championship to play the World Championship. It's not, I need to do this to keep this, or I need to do this to get this ranking. I'm playing that tournament as a standalone event, and it's one of the first times I've been able to realistically do that, and I think that's probably a big difference, and allows me to go into it as well with this element of confidence. And like I said before on other things, like I'm going in as a player, where previously I've been a darts fan since 1995. We used to always go to the World Match Play, get family passes, and it used to be our family holiday, and we did that for years. And I've always done that, and I've been always watching it on the TV ever since I can remember. And the first 2 times I've gone down there, I've probably gone down there like a fan. This time I'm going as a player, to try and essentially win the World Championship.
Well, let's touch on your previous World Championships, because when we last had you on the show in October last year, you spoke to my co-host Burton about the first World Championship you played in your debut. You said you hated it, you were ill in the build-up, you felt like a guest at the event. What was it like going back last year, playing Darius Labanauskas again, unfortunately going out in the first round, but how did you reflect the second time round?
I feel like I got a good toweling in that one. I felt like I pushed. So first set, I played really well in the first set. He played amazing, took the first set with throw. A more experienced version of me, or me talking to, if I could speak to that guy that was stood on the stage now, I'd say just play the same level and you're still in the game. You've got the throw next set, that will be the difference between the two. Instead, that version of me panicked and went, right, we've got to step it up even higher now to compete, and it went backwards from there. So I always say that you don't lose, you learn, and I learned quite a lot from that experience, and I certainly won't be making those mistakes again. And it felt like nothing was good enough. And, you know, when you want to win something so bad, if you get back-to-back tons, sometimes you can be like, oh, I want more, because you want the win straight away. You want it now. You don't want it in 20 minutes. You want it now. You don't want to have to go through the heartache because you want it to happen for you. And I'm now in a position where I'm ready to go through that emotion and go through that heartache and enjoy that, because everyone does this in everything. You know, we're all going to run the London Marathon, we're all going to run 26 miles, but after 3 miles we change our minds. I've done enough today, that'll do, because the psychology's gone from a calm mindset to a mindset that's under pressure. The heart rate's up, we're sweating, we don't enjoy that anymore, and I'm going to enjoy that, and I'm ready for the fight this time rather than shying away from it.
Well, looking back on 2020 so far, we've got to mention the UK Open back in March, just before the virus outbreak and everything that's happened, and matching your best run in a major, reaching the last 32. Did the lockdown perhaps come at a wrong time for you, or how did you use that time away from the tour?
That came at the right time for me. So the UK Open was a nice run, that was definitely. But if you look at the Pro Tour at the time, I wasn't performing. Now, I do suffer with a long-standing wrist injury. And I think with that sort of the lockdown coming, it came at the right time because it allowed me to rest and get ready and prepare and make changes. I dropped a couple of grams off my darts. That's helped with the situation, so I'm not throwing as heavy a dart anymore. I made a couple of little tweaks with the throw, and I was able. We don't get the chance when the tour's in full swing to take, or I'm not brave enough to take the risks to make these sort of changes mid-season. But because we didn't know when the next one was, it's like, right, I'm going to get my head down, I'm going to work away from the board here. And then we went to the Summer Series, and I was very happy with the performances there. I was happy with the performances in the Autumn Series. You know, I beat Mensa Suljevic and Gary Anderson in the summer. I probably should have beat Peter Wright missing match darts in the autumn. And the level of performance was strong. So I do think, like, I'm making steps forward. I'm developing the performance. I'd safely say my averages are going up. So, yeah, I think that came at a good time for me, and I think it's actually helping rather than being a hindrance.
You mentioned the win against Gary Anderson during the Summer Series. I don't think you've brought it up too many times, the way that you won that game with the 170 finish. Is that the best finish of your career, or are there others which better it?
Well, I don't like to talk about it too much. I like to keep it quite quiet. But as you brought it up, you know, we'll go there. So, yeah, that was a big moment for me, because it goes back to what I said earlier. You know, when I said, like, we don't lose, we learn. Earlier in that week, the story that I don't tell too often is I had 3 match darts to beat Gary Anderson about 2 or 3 days previous. And I missed those 3 darts. And before I threw those 3 darts, I went, this is to beat Gary Anderson. And, you know, Gary Anderson for me is one of the best 5 players that's ever lived. So it was a massive scalp and a massive moment. And I've gone to the board to throw and to try and get this double 16, but I was wanting to hit the double 16 for the win, not because I was throwing that shot in that moment. And I was able to change that psychology for the second time I played him, and then to do it in the style that I did with the 170 finish, it was a complete validation of all the changes that I've been doing in terms of the mental side of the game and the preparation side. So I was very, very happy with that.
Well, let's look ahead then. The draw for the World Championship this morning, you ran a watch-along on Edgar TV, your YouTube channel. I popped in just before the draw, around 500 to 600 watching it. What's it like finding out who you're going to play and having that many people seeing your reaction to the draw live?
the amount of people that came in for the reaction for the draw, that was amazing. The support that I've been getting through Edgar TV it's such a boost. And some people, like I say, some people look at it and they go, is that a good idea to be doing that? But for me, it is. Like I say, I'm not saying it's right, I'm saying it's right for me. And I draw so much off of that. There's the support, the messages, the constant support that I get from YouTube and, from the people that follow that page. It's such a lift to me. And it's something that I've not really had this sort of backing before, and there's such a strong element of confidence that comes from that. And like I say, 600 people wanted to come and to enjoy that with me, and I want to share this journey with them. If I was on the other side of this fence, that I wasn't a player, I would love to be sat watching another player doing this and sharing this journey. So it's great that I can do that, and that people are sort of coming along on it with me, and it's such a boost.
Definitely. Well, it's going to be your third consecutive appearance at Alexandra Palace in a few weeks' time. For the first time, it's not going to be against Darius in the first round. You've got Mike Kyvenhoven first up, and for the right to play Metsulic in the second round. I know it's not been long since the draw, but how do you feel about your draw there? I'm
quite happy with that, to be honest. One of the main things I'm really happy with is the pace of the game. Now, Mike Kyvenhoven's going to be a nice pace. He's not a slow player. He's going to just get up there and get on with it, which is going to be nice because that's going to suit me down to the ground. I can get up there, I can get into a rhythm, and it's going to allow me to be me and get into my rhythm and into my flow and find my range on the board. And I look at it not so much of how I feel about it, but I try to put myself in his shoes. And he was probably sat watching that draw as well, and he would have been looking at the other pool of players. And I can guarantee I was one of the players he wouldn't have wanted to come out on that pool of players. So I look at it more on that side, and I think he's probably going to be more bothered about this than I am.
And for us as fans of darts, and you mentioned yourself, you've been a fan before you got into playing. It's a special time of year, getting excited for the start of the World Championship. What is it like as a player this time now? You've qualified, the draw's been made, order of play is going to come out soon. What's it like the lead up now in the next 2 weeks or so?
It feels different to, if you'd asked me this question last year, I'd have gone, oh, it's so good, it's so exciting, and it's all these, which it still is. It's still exciting. It's the World Championship. It's the biggest event in the world, and for 40 minutes, 50 minutes, the biggest moment, the biggest thing in the world of darts will be my first round game, and for those 40 minutes that we're on stage. And if I look at it now, though, I look at it and I say, it's a bit more, it's hard to describe the difference. Like I say, it's coming down as a player, and before it was like I'd watch Sky Sports just so I could see the adverts and go, oh, I'm going to be there, this is so exciting. Where now I'm sort of detaching myself from the show side of it a little bit, and it's more about the playing side of it, where before it used to be like really exciting, like, oh, it's going to be so good, oh, it's going to be at the Alexandra Palace and all these moments that have happened there. I want to make my own moments, and that's the difference this year. I want to make my own moments.
You mentioned in one of your videos earlier this week hoping to get some practice sessions in with the former major winner Kevin Painter, and before the second lockdown he was saying about you forgetting something whenever you turned up to practice with him. How did that friendship and partnership start?
It's when he moved to Daventry. So he moved to Daventry about 11 years ago or so now. I was out practicing, and he just happened to be there. And I ended up having a practice with him. And then he was like, do you want to come down and have another practice sort of thing? And at the time, I was sort of just playing local stuff. I didn't really have the funds to do anything other than that anyway, because I had a young family at the time, and I didn't have the funds to do anything. So I was like, this is brilliant. I get to practice with Kev. And then I found myself like challenging him. And at the time, he was in the top 16 in the world still. And I thought, if I can challenge him, and he's in the top 16, surely I could have a crack at this. So flipped a few things together, allowed myself to get to Q School and do a couple of events, and that sort of got everything going and the ball rolling on that side. And then ever since, we've practiced constantly, weekly, we meet up, we're in constant communication and that side of things. And I've practiced with many other players, many people before, but for me, Kevin's the go-to guy for practice, and he's the best practice partner I've ever had.
Excellent. Well, we should finish up with a mention back to your YouTube channel, Edgar TV. You've now passed 13,000 subscribers. The Edgar Nation just keeps on growing. If you had to pick out your favourite moments since you started the channel, what would they be?
Oh, favourite moments. There's been so many. You know, I did a video recently about my favourite videos, and I was going to do 5, it was 7, then it was 10. There's just so many. I think my favourite thing I like about it is instant feedback and the support that I get from it, and vice versa. I hope that it helps people, either because I put some tips and advice and things on there. I hope it helps some people with their own darts, with their own game, or whether it helps people like with the lockdown, giving them things to do or giving them something to watch. So hopefully I'm providing something for the people as well, because they're providing me with such a boost on the psychological side of things and the support. So yeah, that would be my best thing, the support.
Yeah, I know a lot of our listeners enjoy watching your videos, so keep up the great work with them, and congratulations again on coming through the qualifier on Monday, and we wish you all the best for the World Championship when it comes around.
Brilliant, cheers, thank you.